Rust is a great place to start for doing high performance modern LLM ops because Rust is one of the fastest languages in the world. It doesn't have legacy issues with a scripting language, and it can do inference with just one command using cargo. One problem though is, where do you run this? If you need to have a very powerful GPU, this can be an issue because not everybody has a powerful GPU. Well, one of the ways you can do this is via remote development and using VS Code. So what you would do in this scenario here is first go to AWS, set up an EC2 instance. You'd have to pick the right one. Then go ahead and install VS Code and the remote SSH extension. Next up, SSH into EC2. Then install Rust via the rust up command, just a one-liner. Then do a git clone for the candle repo, and you're ready to run inference. Really, it's that easy. And you can do all of this actually via VS Code locally. So let's go ahead and do a demo. So one of the things that's a little bit tricky is to figure out what is the exact version of an accelerated compute to use. There's a lot of different options here. And in this particular scenario here, we can see that a G5 is a pretty reasonable machine because it uses AMD, which are cheaper processors. And you can see here, one of the things I like is that I don't have to necessarily pay for 8 GPUs when I just want to do some testing on a modern GPU. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a big one like this, which seems like a reasonable machine to use here, which is a G5 16XL large. So if I go back to this page here, you can see some more information about it. Now, if we go to the EC2 dashboard here, you can see here that if I select this instance, one of the things I could do is I could control it here, or I could even go to instance state and actually change, for example, the kind of machine, etc. These are all things that I can do while I'm running it. But in this case, all I need to do is do an SSH to this. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at Visual Studio Code now, and I can actually connect to that machine if I wanted to. So again, the IP address is that. So it's going to be 54.164.128.160. So in order to connect to that box, what do I need to do? Well, first, this extension right here needs to be installed. So we need to install remote SSH. I've already got that set up. Great. Now, the other thing I'll need to do is go through and do my command prompt and actually go for SSH here and say add new SSH host. So let's go ahead and add that host. And what we can do is actually put in a command that gets us exactly what we need. So what I typically do is just go to my shell and find a existing command that I used and just paste it in there. So we can do that. We can just go ahead and paste this in, and you can see here that's that IP address, but I'm giving it the PIM, which allows me to connect. Once we've done that, we can go ahead and select the host and then go ahead and connect. Now, the great thing here about this is it'll open up a new environment for me, and it allows me to really do whatever I need to on that remote machine. So the first thing I would probably do is open up a new terminal, and this will open up right here, and we can double check that we're on the right machine. So in this case, I can say uname-a, perfect. And this is a big monster machine, and we can even see, for example, the NVIDIA stuff going on, SMI. We can see here that in fact it is an NVIDIA machine here that's running the latest versions of CUDA, great. And we can see the NVIDIA information here as well, including the model. We've got all that going. Really, at this point, we're ready to start developing. So what we can do is say, first of all, CD into the checkout, which I have the inference code, and I also could remotely connect to a folder. So we can just go ahead and say candle, okay. And what's great about this is that it allows me to really act like I'm working locally on the machine, look at different code examples, build things out, etc., which is really cool. And I can act like this is really my machine, which in this case, it really is a seamless experience. Now, again, if I go back to the terminal here, what I really want to do is actually dive into running one of the commands that will do some kind of inference for me. So let's go ahead and do that. There we go. Now you can see here that if I run it again, the inference is very fast. So this shows how the power of the GPU is really helping me out. And if I wanted to, I could run further examples here as well. and we can see some of the other demos. For example, if you wanted to run BERT or StarCoder, etc., we can actually do all those. And again, treat it just like my local development box.